Hey credit warriors, welcome to the show. And there is a buzzword in the US credit card industry, and that is the word trifecta, which usually means a combination of 3 or more credit cards that earn the same transferable points currency. Now you have the Amex trifecta and the Citi trifecta, but there is one bank whose trifecta is still king.
If I can only ever recommend 3 credit cards for you to have for the rest of your life, these would be those 3.
These 3 cards make up what's known as the Chase Trifecta, which is the most popular credit card strategy out there.
The Chase Trifecta is an insanely powerful, yet extremely simple and pretty cheap credit card setup.
Right, so this is a powerful setup of cards that all earn the same Chase Ultimate Rewards transferable points currency. And if you're new to this, by transferable points, we mean points earned on a credit card that can then be transferred to airlines or hotels to book luxury or economy travel for free. With the Chase Trifecta, there are actually 8 publicly available cards that could be used to make up the system, 5 personal and 3 business. If you add in discontinued cards that are only available through product change, that takes you up to about 10 or maybe even more if I missed a few. But in general, the trifecta is going to be made up of 3 cards that you pick out of those 8 or 10. So you would have 2 cards that earn points at good rates in categories that you typically spend in, and then 1 more card that gives you access to transfer partners that you can get the most value out of. And in Chase's case, that 1 card would also give you higher value for your points when you use them through the Chase Travel Portal. And in this video, I am going to show you the 3 cards that I chose to make the perfect Chase Trifecta for me. And this video is brought to you by Stash, but more on that later. So, here is my Chase Trifecta. Now, I know what you're going to say. That's 4 cards, not 3. Now, this isn't a how many am I holding up trick.
How many fingers am I holding up, Marv? 8.
In fact, I was only holding up 3, even though it looked like 4, because 2 of them were the same card. The Chase Freedom. Yes, Chase does let you have more than 1 Freedom card at a time, and we'll tell you why that is important in just a second. But first, let me point out that my version, these are the old Freedom card that you can only get through product change. If you're a new applicant, you could apply for the Chase Freedom Flex instead. And in fact, the Freedom Flex even gives you extra point earning categories like restaurants and drugstores, so you would be better off with that card anyway. So let's now take a look at what role these 2 cards play in the trifecta. But first, if you're watching this video, I know that you are into getting amazing value out of your payment cards, financial products, and you're also probably into building your wealth. Well, in order to build up your personal wealth, the app Stash is a great way to get started. And a big thank you to Stash for sponsoring this portion of the video. Taking advantage of Stash's fractional share feature, you can start investing with small amounts of money, like even $5 a week, for example. You can now invest in some of the most popular companies like Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, or Disney without having to fork out over $100 for a whole share. A key feature of Stash is education, both through Stash Learn, which highlights financial events and explains concepts, but also through personalized investment advice to diversify your holdings, which brings stability, something we need in these volatile financial times. Alternatively, you can set up a smart portfolio in which Stash will allocate funds for you between stocks, both US and foreign, bonds, and crypto, depending on your risk level. Another feature of Stash, which I think a lot of you will be into since this is a video about earning rewards from payment cards after all, would be their stock back card. When you shop with this card, you earn back the stock of some of your favorite companies. Now, this is actually a debit card, which is pretty rare to have a debit card that earns rewards, and where some cards earn cashback or points, this card earns stock back. For example, fall is almost here, and you know what that means? Starbucks will be doing my favorite pumpkin spice latte. And now with the stock back card, I earn Starbucks stock for every pumpkin spice latte I buy. So why not get started today? Stash subscription plans start at as little as $3, and you can choose the plan that is right for you. And when you click my link below to sign up, you can also get a $25 bonus when you deposit just $5 into your personal portfolio account. thanks again to Stash for sponsoring this portion of the video. Okay, so the two Chase Freedom cards play the role of earning lots of points in this trifecta because the Chase Freedom, like the Chase Freedom Flex, earns 5%, which is also transferable to 5x points per dollar, on $1,500 worth of spending in rotating categories that change every quarter. But if you have two Freedom cards, you basically double that allowance from $1,500 to $3,000. And in fact, I used to have 3 Freedom cards, so my original allowance was $4,500. But I found that I never actually maxed that out in a quarter, so I did actually cancel one of them. So right now, I have an allowance of $3,000 per quarter to earn 5% or 5x points per dollar on. So as long as I spend $1,000 per month, 500 on each card, I will earn 15,000 Chase points per quarter, or 60,000 per year. Here's the cashback calendar for this year. We had grocery in the first quarter. Easy to spend $3,000 in 3 months there. Then we had Amazon and Lowe's in quarter 2. Again, easy and better than using the Amazon card since it's points rather than cashback points, potentially more valuable. And then this quarter we have gas, EV charging, and entertainment. Now gas could be harder to max out because perhaps you don't spend $1,000 a month on gas, but do remember whatever you buy from a gas station convenience store, even if you're not getting gas, usually codes as gas anyway. Like this purchase here of ice cream for $16 from Stewart's Shops coded as gas and triggered the 5% bonus. And what was that? You don't know what Stewart's Shops is? Well, Stewart's Shops is one of the 31 ways you know you're from upstate New York. It's a gas station that does really great ice cream too. Anyway, the Freedom Card or the Freedom Flex are cards that I really stand behind. They allow you to earn Chase points at a 5x multiplier, which is basically as good as it gets, with no annual fee. This is a card I'll never cancel. I'll never let anyone take it away from me.
They'll never take our freedom!
Now let's move on to the next card in my trifecta, the Chase Inc. Unlimited. Now the Chase Inc. Unlimited, which is a business card, that is my catch-all card for non-category spending. It earns 1.5 points per dollar on all purchases, and it has no annual fee. Now, this is a business card, so if you don't run a business or you're not a freelancer, so you wouldn't really qualify for this card, although it is pretty easy to get. But anyway, if you think you wouldn't qualify, you could substitute this with the Freedom Unlimited, which also earns 1.5 points per dollar on all purchases. But the Inc. Unlimited is great for 2 more things. Number 1 is that there is currently a 75,000 point welcome bonus for spending $6,000 in 3 months, and that's easily worth over $1,000. I used this bonus to fly from London to New York in United's Polaris business class, getting over $4,000 in value out of it. Then in addition to that, the card also has a 0% APR offer. Basically think of that as an interest-free loan for the first year of card membership. I'm using this feature to buy $10,000 worth of furniture for my new Airbnb business, which is starting up next month. Like, all this stuff was bought with that card. We got beds, mattresses, bedside tables, and much more, and we'll pay it off with the profits from the business. So that is my non-category spend card, and the things I'm using it for, like furniture and hardware stores, they're not a very common category anyway, so having a non-category spend card that earns more than 1 point per dollar for those categories and whatever other categories I choose is great. Now sure, you could get the City Double Cash for 2 City points per dollar, but those aren't Chase points, okay? And in the Chase system, 1.5 points per dollar is as good as it gets on non-category spend. All right, let's now look at the third or fourth card, however you see it, in my Chase trifecta, the Chase Inc. Preferred. Now the Chase Inc. Preferred is the card that ties it all together. Now you might be surprised that this isn't one of the Chase Sapphire cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve that would get me airport lounge access, but I actually get my airport lounge access from the Amex Platinum that offers way better options than the Chase Sapphire Reserve anyway. So I actually downgraded my reserve a couple of years ago, and I downgraded it into one of those 2 freedoms that I showed you earlier. But the Chase Inc. Preferred, which is also a business card, allows me to do 2 things. Firstly, it gives me a few more earning categories. It allows me to earn 3 points per dollar on shipping purchases, internet, cable and phone services, advertising purchases with social media and search engines, and travel. So I use the card for shipping and non-airline travel purchases like public transport. I say non-airline travel because the Amex Platinum earns 5 points per dollar on flight tickets booked directly with airlines, so I always use that for flights. Then the second and most important feature of the Chase Inc. Preferred is that it allows me to redeem points at higher values. So I can transfer my points over from the Chase Freedom and the Chase Ink Unlimited, and they immediately become worth 1.25 cents per point when I use the points through the travel portal. So those 5x or 5% categories on the Chase Freedom, well, you can now think of them as earning 7.5% back in value. But there is more. The Chase Ink Preferred, like the Chase Sapphire cards, gives you access to Chase's 14 airline and hotel transfer partners, which include airlines such as United and British Airways and hotels like Hyatt and Marriott. And it's here that we can get huge value out of our points. I got about $4,000 in value when I redeemed 60,000 points for that United Polaris ticket that I showed you a little bit earlier. With Chase points, they don't all pool into one account like Amex points do. Instead, you have to combine your points on the Combine Points page in the Ultimate Rewards portal. So I would be taking points from the 2 Freedoms and the Ink Unlimited and moving them to the Ink Preferred, where I can transfer onto airlines or use the points at 1.25 cents per point through the travel portal. Now, the Chase Ink Preferred also provides trip cancellation and interruption insurance and primary collision damage waiver for rental cars. So this is the card that you would use for any travel or rental car bookings from the Trifecta. And it only has a $95 annual fee. And in fact, that is the annual fee for the entire Trifecta, since none of the other cards have annual fees. So let's now recap the pros and cons of this particular Trifecta setup. The pros are that you get good earning rates on the rotating categories, which will often include grocery and gas, but just not every quarter. You get better than 1 point per dollar on non-category spend. You get good rates on travel and shipping. You get 14 transfer partners, good travel insurance and car rental coverage, and there is a super low annual fee of just $95 for the entire Trifecta. And then one more thing is that 2 of the cards are business cards, so they don't show up on your personal credit report, meaning that you can max them out if you wish without any effect on your personal credit score. Now, here are the cons. First one is that there is no fixed bonus on dining and grocery. Now, these are 2 really big spending categories. You can fix this for dining by getting the Freedom Flex instead of one of the Freedom cards. In fact, if you're a new applicant, you'd have to do that anyway, since the Freedom cards are only available through product change, and the Freedom Flex earns 3 points per dollar on dining. So that kind of fixes that. And I would do this. I would product change to Freedom Flex if it wasn't for the fact that I have the Amex Gold, which earns 4 points per dollar on dining anyway. So I use that for dining. Then you could also get the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which does 3 points per dollar on online grocery, but that is a bit limiting. And this is a limitation of the entire Chase system, not just this particular Trifecta, in that they don't really offer a card that does a good permanent rate on grocery. So again, you could get the Amex Gold for 4 points per dollar on grocery if you wanted a card with a really good permanent rate on grocery. But don't forget that the Chase Freedom cards will typically offer 5% on grocery or 5x on grocery for at least one of the quarters each year. Then with this particular Trifecta, it isn't the best rate that you can get for the points on the travel portal, okay? The Chase Sapphire Reserve gets 1.5 cents per point on the travel portal. So if you were someone who did a lot of travel portal bookings, you may want to substitute the Ink Preferred for the Sapphire Reserve. Then another con is that there is no airport lounge access with this Trifecta. I get my lounge access from the Amex Platinum, but if you want to be completely in the Chase system and lounge access is important for you, again, you just substitute the Ink Preferred with the Sapphire Reserve. Then lastly, the 2 business cards may make it tough for someone who isn't a business person or who isn't a freelancer to get this particular setup. But that's my Trifecta, guys. What do you think of it? Leave your comments below and also tell me what cards are in your Trifecta. I will link to many of the cards mentioned in the description below. And also don't forget to get a $50 bonus when you sign up for Stash and deposit just $1. Link for that will be the top link in the description section of this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, give this video a like, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.